Welcome to The Complete Athlete, a series for athletes who first understand the importance that mental toughness plays in their sport. Second, who want to have more control over their emotions, both on and off the field. Third, for athletes who want to decrease their chance of injury. And finally, this series is for athletes who want to increase their mobility, coordination, endurance, and overall strength. Every podcast in this series covers the key components a successful athlete needs mentally and will be followed by either a short clip targeting the most common problem areas for athletes or a full yoga class that helps connect mind and body, helping create the complete athlete. For more information, go to www.ishawarriors.com/complete athlete info. This is Monday Mindset with Isha Warriors, episode 25, Mental Toughness. Aloha! My name is Ali Lothane. I've been empowering and inspiring others through yoga for over 15 years, specializing in yoga for teens. If you are ready to live life to the fullest and love it along the way, let's enjoy the journey together. Happy Monday, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about mental toughness, and it's week 2 of our Yoga for Athletes series. But I want to reassure you that no matter what, whether you're an athlete or not, you can apply these principles to your life, to the things you're passionate about, to your everyday, okay? Regardless of age and circumstance, because it's all about being the boss of your brain. Hamm once said, the most important attribute a player must have is mental toughness. And I would say it's an important attribute across the board, whether you are an athlete or not. So listen up, all right? The most important part of a player's body is above his shoulders, said Ty Cobb. Okay, mental toughness or mental hardiness within an athlete is what differentiates a good athlete and a great one. Elite athletes understand that to stay committed and become their best self, they have to put the time in at the gym as well as in the mental gym. Just like developing physical muscles, building mental muscles takes time, patience, and consistency. It is also a skill that requires effort. McGuire is one of the most prolific home run hitters in the history of baseball. All the crowd saw, though, was the physical phenomenon. How many of us realized it was the result of extensive mental training? McGuire once said, "Everybody looks at my body, but I use my mind more than my arms." By the time McGuire stepped into the batter's box, he was confident, focused, relaxed, and ready. And that had everything to do with the time he spent developing mental toughness. None of us were privy to witnessing all the mental preparation he did before each game and during the weeks and months and years of training. But more and more coaches and athletes are realizing the importance of getting the quote, head edge advantage. Today, I'm going to talk about 7 characteristics of mental toughness. They are a set of behaviors and beliefs about yourself, your work, your sport, and how you interact. A person who is mentally tough looks at a competition as a challenge to rise up to, rather than a threat to back down from. Like physical skills, mental toughness can be learned through quality instruction and practice. So, after I talk about the 7 characteristics of mental toughness, I am going to share 10 mental strategies used by the best athletes that you can start doing today to level up your game, to level up your life. These 7 characteristics, or 7 C's, come from a book called Mind Gym by Gary Mack, and I will put the link for his book in the show notes. Gary Mack is a nationally acclaimed sports psychologist who's worked with professional sports teams for years. Okay, so the first C is competitive. Professional golfer Nancy Lopez once said, "A competitor will find a way to win. Competitors take bad breaks and use them to drive themselves just that much harder instead of a reason to give up." When you develop mental toughness, you begin to see challenges as puzzles to work out instead of threats aimed to defeat you. Pressure situations can be enjoyable when you see it as just another challenge, just another cool puzzle you get to piece together. In this state, you can remain calm and clear-headed. Individuals who don't develop mental hardiness see pressure as a threat. And in that threat state, you guys, cortisol levels rise up. Cortisol is a natural, built-in alarm system in our bodies. It works with certain parts of your brain to control your mood, your motivation, and your fear. When cortisol rises, the fire alarm goes off and the panic sets in. Someone with competitive toughness knows to be in the zone and playing their A game. They don't want their actions to stem from a place of fear and alarm or from anxiety, a racing heartbeat and high blood pressure. Competitive toughness is an acquired skill and not an inherited gift, said Chris Evert, who is a U.S. female tennis player with 18 Grand Slams. She knew a thing or two about competitive toughness and what it took to acquire that skill. Do you love the competition? Or is that your greatest challenge when you play? You feel pressure. You feel it as a threat. Know that you have the power to up your mental game so you too can be like Joe DiMaggio, who led the Yankee baseball team to 9 World Series titles and said he would give away all of his trophies, all of his records, to be able to be 25 years old again and compete again. Because, I quote, he said, "The one thing both I loved and now miss the most was the competition." Do you love the competition? What is keeping you from seeing it as an amazing, cool puzzle that you get to piece together, that you get to solve, a challenge to rise up to, instead of a threat that will defeat you? Number 2, confident. Elite athletes know their why, just like last week's episode, and they understand they are someone before something. They keep the things they value most close to heart, and they speak up for themselves in a respectful way to be true to themselves. Mental toughness comes from possessing true confidence. That stems from knowing their strengths, being genuinely proud of their efforts and skills, and acknowledging their weaknesses without judgment or shame. They understand that failures are just feedback. That to become successful, sometimes you have to suck at things. Okay? Alex Rodriguez once said, "I believe a champion wins in his mind first. Then he plays the game, not the other way around." It's powerful stuff. He goes on to say, baseball seasons are long, extending from spring training through 162 games and playoffs. Every athlete in every sport experiences peaks and valleys. During tough times, I don't worry. I don't judge my performance by results. Most important is my physical and mental preparation. The question I ask when I look in the mirror is, am I ready to play? If the answer is yes, I feel confident. Once the ball is thrown or it hits, the outcome is out of your control. So number 2, be confident. Do you put in the time to prepare both physically and mentally so you, just like Alex Rodriguez, are ready to play? Can you go onto that court, the track, the field, or the stage with real confidence? Number 3, control. Successful athletes are able to control their emotions and behavior. They focus on what they can control and don't allow the things that are out of their control to affect them. The hallmark of mentally tough athletes is the ability to maintain poise, concentration, and emotional control under the greatest pressure and the most challenging situations. Are you under control during the game? Number 4, committed. Mentally tough athletes focus their time and energy on their goals and dreams. They're self-directed and highly motivated. They are motivated to strive to better themselves and rise above their opponents. They develop patience and perseverance to work on skills. And they are self-disciplined. Early morning training, powering through sore muscles, eating right, fueling their bodies properly, and having the discipline to go to bed and get the sleep they know is crucial to their success. Those are not easy things. I'm in my 40s and I have learned again and again and again that I need to get adequate sleep. And still, I struggle with having the discipline to get the sleep I know I need to perform at my best emotionally, mentally, and physically. When you become really clear with why you're doing what you're doing, it is easier to stay committed to doing what you're doing. Have you taken the time to figure out your whys? If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to last week's episode and start there. Okay, number 5, composure. Mentally tough athletes know how to stay focused and deal with adversity. They don't let their temper get in the way of their play. When you get pushed, do you immediately form a fist to retaliate? In life and in every sport, there are things that will happen out of our control. There will be bad referee calls, injuries, mistakes made, imperfect people leading your team and making decisions that affect you. A mentally tough player will say to herself, okay, I've got to beat the other player and the referee. Okay, that's fine. I can do that. Are you able to keep your cool when the heat is on? Number 6, courage. A mentally tough athlete is willing to take risks. Are you willing to do what it takes to climb to the top of the mountain and feel that rush and pride of looking across the incredible vista from the peak? Or do you settle in a safe spot along the way and camp out? Too scared to look stupid or make a mistake or disappoint someone, to have the courage to grow up and achieve your full potential. A few years back, I spoke to a group of middle schoolers before doing yoga with them. They had just finished putting on a musical that I got to see, and I wanted to make sure I congratulated all the incredible performers. And I just said, you guys, you have so much courage to go on that stage. I'm so proud of you. And then I went on to congratulate all those who tried out for the play and didn't make it. And I applauded them for their courage to be vulnerable and put themselves out there too. And then I asked this group the question, who will need more courage next time there are tryouts? The people in this room who made the play the first time, or the people who were cut last time? Right? The second group, the underdog, the person who didn't make varsity last year. Brooke Castillo once said, the more you're willing to suck at something, the more successful you will become. Putting yourself out there on the stage, in the arena, on the field, on the court, it takes a great deal of courage. And that courage comes from the thoughts you think. Are you thinking empowering thoughts that boost your courage when you train and when you compete? Number 7, consistency. Mentally tough athletes possess an inner strength. They often play their best when they're feeling their worst. They don't make excuses. Elite athletes show up. That's huge. I had the opportunity to speak to a tennis team at the end of their season last year. And I had all the boys stand up and I just said, everyone here, let's give these boys a standing ovation. And I want to hear you stomp and clap and whistle and cheer as loud as you can because they showed up this season. I don't care, wins or losses, they showed up. You show up for yourselves every day. Show up for your team, for your coach, at practice and at games. Be consistent, and you are developing mental toughness. Ask yourself, are you dependable? Okay. Competitive golf is played mainly on a 5.5-inch course, the space between your ears, said Bobby Jones, who was a golfer. Competition is won or lost in the playing field that exists between the ears, you guys. As you practice these 7 C's of mental toughness, you will learn to love the competition. You will learn to love life. Because all these qualities not only help you, athletes on the field, but everyone in any circumstance, pursuing whatever your passion is. So I'm just going to go over those 7 C's one more time, and then we're going to move into 10 mental practices you can do. Okay? Competitive, confident, control, committed, composure, courage, and consistency. All qualities of an elite athlete, someone who is mentally tough. The Russian gymnast Olga Korbut once said, "The ability of conquering oneself is no doubt the precious of all things sports bestows on us." The most precious gift of all gifts that sports bestows upon us. So remember what I said last week. Sports is absolutely a catalyst that can unlock greatness within. And that greatness lies within every athlete, whether they are wearing a uniform or not. What is the catalyst for your greatness? And how can you apply these 7 C's to what you love to do? Whether you are in band, robotics, ROTC, choir, drill team, FFA, and the list goes on and on, right? You are a champion first in your mind, then in reality. So let's talk about these 10 mental strategies you can start doing today to help you grow in competitiveness, confidence, control, commitment, composure, courage, and consistency. The first one is visualization. You guys, the mind works most effectively when you tell it where you want it to go instead of focusing on what you want it to avoid. A volleyball player focusing on exactly where she wants to place the ball is on the opponent's side instead of thinking, don't hit the net, right? A golfer focusing on the flag, not just the sand traps. It goes on and on. Your mind can only focus on one thing at a time. And I can't tell you, after I've learned this concept, how often I am repeating that to myself. Allie, one thing at a time. What do you need to do in this moment? One thing at a time. When I feel I'm getting barraged by requests and to-dos and, I need to do all these things, right? Okay, one thing at a time. If you are not spending 5 to 10 minutes every single day visualizing what you want to see happen in your sport, you are missing out on one of the most powerful tools you can up your game with. And it's totally free. Why aren't you visualizing your success every single night? This concept is so important that I'll be putting out a bonus track later this week. And then I'll put the link in the show notes here. Because limits begin where vision ends. So visualizing success and giving yourself permission to win, number 1 mental strategy. Number 2, mindfulness meditation. This is one of the top things Kobe Bryant had listed in his 10 rules of life. You can practice mindfulness as much as you want. I would suggest, if you're just getting started, to practice doing it every single morning to begin with, and then morning and night. Elite athletes know that your mind is like a muscle, and spending 10 to 15 minutes to anchor your thoughts help you control the day instead of chasing the day. For you, this could look like starting each morning out in prayer and talking to God about the day ahead. Maybe every night, thinking about the blessings that you had and the things that went right and, kind of reflecting on the day. This could look like writing 5 things you want to see happen in your day in a journal every morning. It could be as simple as using the walk to the bus stop as your time to just really be aware of your breath and of your senses and becoming fully present, which helps anchor you. I will put in the show notes the podcast that I did on meditation a couple weeks ago. Okay. If you have no idea what meditation is or how it looks like or how to incorporate it into your life, it's a good place to start. Number 3, preparation routines. In the yoga world, there are 2 well-known types of practice, Bikram and Ashtanga, where you literally do the exact same sequence of poses every single time. Practitioners who do these practices love the repetition. It helps them get into the rhythm, and they feel like they can see their progress more easily as the same poses get easier, or they're able to hold them deeper and longer. Many yogis say knowing the exact routine every time helps settle their nerves and allows them to get into the zone. You can establish game day routines that are equally settling to your nerves. They may be even a little quirky. It may be something you do for 5 minutes. It may be an hour before your game. I'll be talking more about preparation routines in next week's episode entitled In the Zone, but I just wanted to get you started thinking about that. What kinds of things do you do before you go out and perform to let go of the distraction and unpack all the emotional baggage before each game or performance? Preparation routines. Okay, number 4, self-talk. Positive self-talk. Confident, changing attitude self-talk. One key to success in sports is learning how to focus on the task and not let negative thoughts intrude. Like I said before, the mind can only concentrate on one thing at a time. So rather than suppressing what you don't want to see happen, you focus on what you want to happen, or maybe on a neutral thought. But when you start to allow self-deprecating talk into your inner dialogue, it's like you are giving a monkey a piggyback ride while playing and expecting somehow to do better. Okay? So last week I had a chance to speak to a bunch of young men and young women at a tennis camp. And I was talking about this principle of self-talk and focusing on what you want to bring in. And I said, and I had one person come up and I said, I want you to imagine that you are serving a ball. Okay. So they pretended to serve and I said, and you miss it. It goes into the net. Okay. And I said, what thoughts go in through your heads when that happens? And I just had different teenagers just shout out answers, and it was like, I suck. Don't do that again. You're such a disappointment. You know what I mean? Like all those things that immediately pop up in our head when we feel like we've fallen short. And I said, okay, if you hold on to those thoughts, it's like you're inviting a monkey to jump on your back. And okay, just a side note here. I had already worked it out with my volunteer that I was going to jump on their back and they're going to give me like a piggyback ride, right? So at that point, I jumped on this athlete's back and kind of pinned their arms down and covered their eyes. I said, okay, serve your ball. Serve the next one. Okay, you're never going to forget that visual, right? But so often we think that these negative thoughts are helpful and somehow that's going to motivate us. But what it really does is it just messes with your game. It's like you're carrying a weight and expecting yourself to perform better. What is a thought that you can replace and block those negative thoughts with or invite them to leave that helps you relax, release tension, and get lighter? You want to shrug that monkey off your shoulders. In Gary Mack's book, Mind Gym, he suggests that you think of a word or a phrase that will help you stop those toxic thoughts from playing repeat in your brain. Get that monkey off your back. It needs to be a meaningful word or phrase, powerful enough to block a negative thought and relieve tension. It's going to be a word that's unique to you. Maybe it's something that brings a smile to your face or brings back a memory where you felt on top of the world. It could be what Lori Hernandez, a U.S. gymnast, says every time she looks in the mirror. I've got this. Or breathe. or simply one, reminding yourself to take one play at a time, one breath at a time, that you're number one in your book, whatever you want it to be. Okay, Russell Wilson from the Seahawks says, "Why not you?" whenever he sees himself in the mirror. What is a word that can help you stop those negative thoughts and then bring the positive self-talk back in? Number 5, music. This is one a lot of athletes are already doing, I have found as I've been talking with different teenagers. Creating a pre-game playlist that helps you focus, avoid distraction, drowns out the noise, expresses your authentic self. Only you know if the music you need should be calming before a game or pump up music before a game. Take the time to figure out what music will inspire, uplift, and empower you. Number 6, do the math. This is a phrase used repeatedly by Olympic swimmer Michael Phelps. He knew that athletes who put in the time and training are the ones who outperform their opponents. He said this logical mental mindset phrase, right, do the math, helped him go when he didn't want to go. Do the math reminds athletes to avoid drugs, alcohol, smoking, late night parties, because none of those things add to your skill development. Do the math. What sacrifices do you need to make to move forward in your sport so it all adds up? Number 7, set goals. I'm going to be talking a lot more about goal setting in week 6, rock your walk-up song. But for today, just know that setting goals is essential in developing mental toughness. Set small goals and big ones. Set realistic goals that you can easily do today and big dream goals, impossible ones that make you want to aim for the stars. Number 8, breathing. It's one of the most important biological processes that we have and one of the greatest tools that you can use. Conscious breathing is a powerful way to infuse your body with oxygen and energy. It can also calm your nervous system and help relax your body. Conscious breathing, which is the kind of breathing you do every single time you hit the yoga mat, helps you become aware of your physical body, navigate difficult thoughts and emotions, and be fully present. As the breath moves, so does the mind. Doing yoga gives you a space to practice utilizing this amazing tool, but you can absolutely focus on your breath anytime, any place. Number 9, optimism. Choosing to be optimistic won't just help you develop mental hardiness as an athlete. Studies have shown people who are optimists on average live longer than pessimists do. Payne Stewart once said, "A bad attitude is worse than a bad swing." One of my favorite mantras is, "Everything is figure-outable." It's a made-up word that has helped me move through so many very real, overwhelming tasks. Frustration is just what happens when the information runs out. If we think of that, it changes the energy. This goes back to seeing challenges as puzzles that are exciting to figure out, not as threats destined to defeat you. Stay optimistic. And finally, film analysis and deliberate practice is something that you can do to up your mental game today. First, study yourself, then study the greats. Watching your game or training film video allows you to take a step back and remove the emotion from your analysis. You practice being the silent observer, just like I talk about all the time in yoga. You pick out strategies. You recognize areas where you are strong and where you need to improve, and you do it without judgment. Watching film gives you a perspective you're not used to seeing it from. You can slow things down, speed it up, watch it again and again. Okay? Study yourself without judgment. Watching collegiate and professional athletes play the sport you love also helps up your mental game. Kobe Bryant was known to talk about how he imitated greatness from watching basketball players he admired. When you are watching a game, notice what your favorites do. Observe and learn. Then be deliberate in your practice and focus on the areas you want to improve on. When you are mentally tough, you can get coached and critiqued without falling apart. You can compete against people who will trash talk and try to get in your head and not crumble. You remain positive and focus on what you want to see happen, regardless of how bleak it may look. When you are mentally tough, your self-talk is never self-sabotage. When you're mentally hardy, you are dependable and competitive, and you're smart enough to know when you need to change things up, improvise, unplug. Mentally tough athletes stay composed with their head above the emotions of the game. When you are mentally tough, you know how to use your thoughts and your breath to your advantage. You are the boss of your brain. Gary Mack said in his book, humans are the only species that get in the way of their own growth. Take time today to build your mental muscles and unlock the amazing potential and growth within you. You've got this. Thanks for listening in today. If what you heard resonated with you, let me continue to uplift, love, and inspire you through the online yoga classes I teach at ishawarriors.com. Isha Warriors is a one-of-a-kind platform created just for teens and accessible to the whole family. We offer chair yoga, beginner's yoga, all levels vinyasa and restorative, so yoga can meet you and your family's needs wherever you're at on your journey. If you enter in the code podcast30, that's podcast in all capital letters 30, you'll receive $30 off the annual teen membership. The first week is free, so why wait another minute to bring more peace and confidence into your life? See you on the mat.